Hi guys and welcome back. In this lesson we are going to add some details to the different pieces of the column. We'll think about how to do this and what materials to use, and we'll try to do this as best as we can in the shortest time possible, while still achieving a great result. Learning to optimize your time is very important, especially when working for a client, so it's a good thing to bear in mind. For this column, I'm only going to make 2 bricks and a base. By creating 2 bricks with 4 different faces, we get a variety of 8 bricks that we can rotate, so we can get this effect of having different bricks even though we only had to make 2. Duplicate the column so you don't lose it, and then with the other one, we'll go separating the pieces using the splits to parts inside the subtool menu, so you don't have to make another one of the same. Create a cube and make it longer with the transpose master to create the shape of a brick, and then we can start to work on it. Let's add 5 subdivisions without the SMT activated. Then we'll activate it to soften the edges and add 2 more subdivisions. Now with Trim Dynamic, we need to soften the edges some more, as nothing in real life has a 90 degrees angle. Check all the sides and make sure you haven't left anything out. You can also select the Trim Adaptive brush. This brush has a much stronger effect than the Trim Dynamic, and it completely flattens the area we use it on. I'll use it in certain areas to flatten and make the side stand out a bit. Otherwise, it's obvious we only use the Trim Dynamic. You could also try to create some cracks and gaps in the corners. Then take the clay build-up. The top areas of bricks aren't usually that misshaped, so the idea is to apply it gradually over the sides to add some irregularity and more of a random shape. It's important that, before you start to add the detail, to have to hand some references of bricks, stones, etc., so you can see the cracks or deformities they might have and try to replicate them. After using the clay buildup, you can also use the trim dynamic to flatten the volume you generated and give it a stone-like appearance. There are different ways of creating different kinds of volume. You could also try and use the Move tool. You need to repeat this process all over the bricks. Right now we are only detailing one of the two bricks, and as I said in the previous lesson, it's important to optimize production time, and creating an entire column brick by brick is not really achieving that. So the best thing to do is create a few bricks and detail them on every side so that you can rotate them on their various sides. This way, from the 4 sides, we can get a variety of 8 bricks, as I said before. In this type of technique, it's also important to make a basic deformation. I mean, nothing that stands out too much. If something stands out, then you shouldn't repeat it too many times. If you make shapes that stand out and repeat them, it's obvious it's the same piece. You can make one side with a large crack to try and add some variety. To add a crack, it's best to make a basic shape with a damped standard brush and then mask one of the sides of it with a trim dynamic and go flattening the side that isn't masked. Then all you have to do is invert the mask and flatten the other side. Once all the sides of the crack are flat, you can take the pinch brush. This brush works kind of like a pinch, as its name suggests. This could be useful for creating different sizes of the crack and adds more realism. Once you've finished detailing with the pinch tool, you can use the trim dynamic on the crack to flatten the volume that's been created from using the pinch. When we've detailed one of the bricks, we can move on to the next. This is a replica of the first, so we need to adjust some of the faces to make it different from the one before. This might be a little tedious, but it's worth it as it saves us from having to sculpt 10 or 20 different bricks. When you're satisfied with the end result, we can add some detail to the surface by making small deformities. We can do that with a layer brush in spray mode. Lower the intensity and vary the size as you go along. The idea is to apply it all over to add that level of detail. Do this on both bricks. Finally, we can start with the slab of stone we're using as a base. I've decided that the material of the entire column should be stone, but you can add screws, metal rivets or whatever you want. The process to add the detail for this part is the same. Subdivide the piece 5 times without SMT activated. Then, to soften the edges a little and so the brushes works better on the corners, add 2 more subdivisions with SMT activated. Soften all the edges of the slab with the Trim Dynamic brush, and then with the Trim Adaptive brush you can flatten some parts to give that worn down rock effect we're going for. Then, with the clay buildup, we can generate different volumes on the surface of the slab to make it more realistic. Gradually detail all the pieces trying to replicate or simulate some of the references you might be using. Lastly, we can add more detail with the layer brush in spray mode to get that grainy stone look. Try not to make it too uniform. So these are all the pieces we need to build our column. We won't need any more. We just need to put them in place, which is what we'll do in the next lesson. I hope you're enjoying the course so far, and I'll see you in the next lesson.